battery died. I had live footage of me putting the carburetor back together, the air filter housing, the air filter and all that stuff. The new fuel lines, fuel filter. And I did try to crank it. It took a while before it cranked, but I shut it off as soon as it cranked up. I couldn't tell whether or not if the fuel was coming up, and that's what made me remember I didn't put a fuel filter in there. So I had to cut splice the fuel line, put the filter in, and it did crank up, but I shut it off. I pulled the plugs. They were kind of bad. One got 2 plugs. Cleared out a space. I'm gonna crank it up out there because when I did crank it, it blew out a bunch of, not smoke, but just dust and whatever that's sitting in the motor. So I don't want all that stuff in here, which you can see all on the ground there. That come from when I cranked it. So I'm gonna push it out and put the plugs in there and fire it up. Hopefully I get the same results I got earlier. And the freaking battery is going down, so I'm gonna have to jump it to crank it. But stay tuned. too much fuel dumping in. I don't know why. Fuel pump work, see that, but when I kinda, let's see if I can show you this. When I put the pliers, the grip pliers here to kind of regulate some of the fuel from flowing in, it runs fine. But when I let the pliers off, when I let those pliers off from here, the fuel fills the filter up, and that's why it's not running like it should. I'm getting an overflow of fuel. So I'm assuming it's the carb, something up with the carb. I'm not sure. And you can see how wet this is. That's from too much fuel going in. It's coming out through the seam here. So that's my issue. But it run. I know that it run. I'll figure it out. All right. So shout out to my dude, my little cuz Jordan. So I just called him and we kind of like brainstormed when it come down to these motors and stuff like that. So I just had an issue with my little Yamaha inverter, little portable generator, where fuel kept spilling out. On this one, I'm wondering why the fuel continuing to pump. There's no regulator on it. It's a manual fuel pump that operates off the valve cover. So why is it continuing to flow? And I'm pinching the line and I'm regulating it, and it shouldn't be that way. We kept talking and talking. 5-minute conversation, we figured out the float inside the carburetor, the same as my Yamaha generator. That generator, the float had a crack in it, which fuel got into the float and it kept it way down. Fuel pumps when the float is down, which means the cup or the bowl where the fuel sits, it's empty, so it stays down and it allows the fuel to flow in. That's got to be the same problem with this one. Now, granted, the carburetor, 2 years I've been having it, never used it. I didn't open it up to check it because I never used it. So it could be a possibility that float is stuck in a down position, which is allowing all the fuel to continue to flow. But y'all heard it, this thing run. Not bad for 300 bucks, I know that. So I'm gonna get this thing back in the garage and then end up taking the carburetor back off and open it up. And I do have an extra carburetor kit if I need it, but I doubt it. It's just gonna be a matter of going in there, checking that needle where the float sits, and making sure it moves freely. So shout out to my dude Jordan. Later, y'all.